Hello, this is Virtual's a Chess Noob learning and having fun with chess. There is a tactical idea in chess where if you keep making credible threats against the opponent, you create chances to win, even if you're down on material and objectively in a worse position, according to the engine. This is well exemplified by this game. Let's go take a look. Now in this game, I had the black pieces and my opponent led with the queen's pawn opening. And so against queen's pawn opening, I've been playing the Englund Gambit, immediately attacking. And you know, the psychological idea here is that many of the queen's pawn opening positions, for example, the Queen's Gambit or the London, is a slower, more positional game. So psychologically, this potentially has some merit, even though objectively it's bad. Now, we can see how my opponent played. So they opted not to take, which is already automatically bad. Now, admittedly, I couldn't quite remember what I should do here. So here I should actually just take. So instead, I pushed D5. Now, have a look at the evaluation bar throughout this game. I am pretty much terrible throughout the whole game, and yet the feeling of the initiative of who is making the threats seems to be with black pretty much the whole match until the end. So here they now pushed another pawn. So seeing opting not to take, back to equality, and this now transposes actually to a Queen's Gambit declined and Albin Countergambit type line. Here I wasn't entirely sure what to do, so I just developed a knight. I should have taken, they took, and at this point I took back with the queen, and I made a decision that somehow I didn't quite play the England Gambit game well or right, so I need to now just create aggressive threats, and that was my plan. So here with the queen already in the center, potentially maybe getting the bishop, queen lining up. So already just thinking of aggressive tactics. So here they attack the queen and I bring out the other bishop. So obviously pinning the knight to the king. They develop. Here I just take, just get rid of that potential threat. They capture back, potentially sort of damaging, their queen-side structure. And now the bishop, remember, here, so just trying to create threats. So Stockfish isn't very impressed, but let's see what happens. They push to attack my queen. That's fine. Queen now to the square. You can see Stockfish really disagreed with that move, but I'm playing a hyper-aggressive style. Because when you play in hyper-aggressive style, even though it looks like it's not good, you're creating opportunities for your opponent to make mistakes. And given that white is trying to play slowly and positionally, one of the things of humans is loss aversion. They're going to try to avoid losses. And by trying to avoid losing material is sometimes not good against a desperate, aggressive attack that doesn't worry about material loss. So here, potentially, looks like I might be trying to trade queens. So push to attack the knight, that's fine. Very commonly actually in Englund Gambit positions where the queen ends up on the E file is that the king's pawn ends up being pinned. So knight jumps forward. Again, Stockfish hates it. Pretty much from this point onwards, it's like +3 to +6 for most of the game. They attack the queen, good move, but I have a check. So check. I was hoping captures, but they're a little bit wiser than that, so they move the king out of the way. Now I've won some concession here because the king is now really stuck on the king's side of the board, and these pieces haven't developed. While those pieces aren't developed, they don't really exert much of an influence on the game. So even if I lose material and I'm going to lose that knight and I'm willing to sacrifice that knight, potentially that loss may not be felt. So obviously need to move the queen out of the way. So there's a check. There we go. And then I move the queen out of the way. Potentially, by moving the bishop, this pawn becomes pinned again. So here, they're trying to take that knight, and so that knight is lost. I'm not going to try to rescue it. I decide to just move my king out of the way. You can see Stockfish recommended an actual development. Attack the bishop. disconnecting the knight. Of course, that knight is completely lost, but that's fine. Remember, potentially pinned. So take, and that was a mistake by white. They take, that's fine. Stockfish now thinks that I should trade. Okay, but you can see, and even I can tell, that if I lose my pieces, it's going to be just a slow, drawn out, eventual either draw or loss. So I'm not going to take. I need to keep my pieces, keep my threats and attack on the king. So here I decided to develop that knight, seeing whether or not I can bring another attacker on the king. They took, that's fine. Take back. So you can see Stockfish wants to attack. The reason I took this way is potentially I saw I could bring a rook into the attack against the white king, which is, again, still stuck on this side with these undeveloped pieces. They try to counterattack, bring the bishop back. Queen, potentially looking at a double attack. So these are all really good moves by white. But, I can bring a defender. They're trying to do something about that. And here I now have a pin. I'm desperately trying to find more ways into attacking that white king, which is a bit stuck. They sort of shuffle their pieces, potentially bring another sort of defender there. And now push the pawn. Now there's another attacker. King slides out of the way. And here white starts to make some wrong moves. That, of course, comes with check. So I take, and I take out one of these pesky pawns which are providing a defense against the king. They take back. That was a mistake. You see, king should have taken, because now I've got another pin, and that is a good pin. So take. Here we go. Starting to, regain. I've kind of regained my material loss. King is still all, stuck on this side, undeveloped pieces. Here, with attack on the queen. Queen moves back. You can see that's a wrong move. So here, I push my queen forward. Now, Stockfish sees some potential other attacks, but let's see. Here's an attack. Queen here, now doubled up. So potentially, there is a fork of the king and queen. So they need to do something. Here we go. And now I have more pieces in this triple battery attacking that knight than they can possibly have defenders. White here makes a mistake against these multiple threats. This very strong sort of cannon against the knight. They lost sight of the fact that they actually could just move the knight out of the way. They decided to bring an extra defender on the knight, and that was a blunder. And here, finally, my very, very aggressive posturing throughout the whole game, I win now the advantage. So I first won back my material. Now I've won back my advantage. Here I decided to play this move. Stockfish actually wanted to take immediately because they saw eventually we would end up in a rook and king. So rook, pawn and king endgame where I'm up some pawns. I didn't want to play that, so I decided to play this. They now make a mistake. Now here, the best move for me is actually just to take with the queen because it's basically hanging, because that gives a check, and then I can take, and basically I'll just win a piece. I didn't see that. I was still seeing this method of potentially winning the queen, so that's what I opted to do. So attack now with a fork, and of course this bishop is pinned to the king, no longer defending that square. Takes, 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 and here I was very happy. Queen versus bishop and rook. I should definitely be winning, and of course, psychological damage. Here, it just doesn't look like white can win. It is really good for black, but it's the sense that you're going to lose. So, what did I do? Check, check, check. And here, on the third consecutive check, white opted to resign. Good game, GG. My big takeaway from this game is that a romantic or aggressive style of chess is often quite effective at the beginner and intermediate levels, despite the engine thinking that it is suboptimal. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.